Crunchyroll is seemingly now using machine translations instead of actual translators. It's here. Oof. Oof. It has arrived, everybody. It has arrived. I was talking about this quite a while back, but yes, I assumed at some point companies like Crunchyroll were going to eventually probably move to not having like an actual translating staff, but actually have machine learning do their translations for them. And it looks like all signs are pointing to the Yuzuki family's four sons as being a testbed. Now, I've heard from a couple of people that there's other shows that are looking pretty rough as well, but this is the definitive sign of it. Like, if you go watch the first episode of this show, you're going to see the translation's bad. Like, it is extremely bad. Now, I mean, it's doable. Like, you can figure out what they're talking about based off of it. I'm not saying it's that bad, but it's bad enough that you can notice it. Like, it's bad enough that if you are a person that has any sense of the English language, you're going to notice that this is not functioning properly. And a big key part of it is it seems like every time somebody references somebody else, they reference themselves. And that's usually a sign that they're letting a machine translation do it that doesn't have the context of the scene itself. And some of it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But yeah, super heartbreaking because Yuzuki Family was like one of my most anticipated shows of the season, and this is the one they're doing the test bed on. I mentioned this several times before that yes, this is an inevitability. This is unfortunately an inevitability that eventually these companies will not want to have to pay translators to do this stuff anymore, even though, yes, all signs point to them not paying much. This is another way they can scrape a little bit more off of that profit margin by just having them able to put the script into a translator and the translation does it itself and they just time code it. And again, I knew this was coming as an eventuality, and it seems like with Yuzuki Family, this is a test bed. Now, my argument has always been that we're not there yet. We're nowhere near close enough these machine translations can do this properly. The AI just can't figure it out quite yet. But it does seem like they're at least feeling like it's enough. And I don't have like some sort of proof here. I don't have like a message from somebody inside Crunchyroll saying this is what we're doing. It's just all signs point to, yes, this is the case because none of the stuff makes sense. Let me give you some examples. And I'm not even like a third through the episode and I just can't stand it anymore. It's making me angry because, again, this is a show that I was looking forward to and it's not being given any care whatsoever. Like, we're not even giving it to an editor to go, oh yeah, that looks wrong. Like, if I can point it out, if tons of comments on the episode page can point it out, I'm sure an editor could have figured this out. This doesn't look proper. But yes, let's go through this. Early on, it talks about how they lost their parents. The line says, but there is nothing we can do. After all, there is no resurrection. That makes sense. Later on, when they were talking about putting something in the dryer, they say, do you want to take it to dry? As the younger boy is leaving home and he runs into their neighbor, he looks upset. And she responds saying, what's the matter? I'm in a bad mood early in the morning. That makes no sense. She's saying, what's the matter? I'm in a bad mood. And she's got this big smile on her face. Again, this is where they keep having this problem where it's somebody referencing somebody else or a person in front of them, but they're speaking about themselves. It doesn't make any sense. Again, this is going to be easily caught by an editor and they're not even caring. They go to school and they decide they're going to copy this classmate's work and they say just arrived and copied other people's notes as if nothing had happened. I'm fumbling reading this because it doesn't make any logical sense. Then they follow up saying, we're always thanks to Nikaido. You are so awesome. Then the other brother arrives late and they say, Makoto usually arrive early. That's strange. It's not because he hangs clothes alone. Obviously, it would have been faster if you let me do it together. And here was the stinger. This was the part where I stopped. I was like, I'm done. The brother comes in with his PE clothes because he was letting them dry and that's why he arrived late. He hands it over to the brother and says, Class 5 has C today, right? Class 5 has a C today, right? The letter C. What does that even mean? Oh yeah, that's right. And then the friend pops up behind him as he's holding his PE clothes, and his friend says, "I almost had to go to physical education naked." Again, you almost had to go to it Not me, but for some reason, I guess his friend was like, if you had to go naked, I guess I'll go with you naked. It's super bad. It is super terrible. And this seems like this might be a test bed. Now, it could be an aspect that somebody. I like to not assume the worst. I can make some other assumptions here. There's a possibility they got the script late and somebody threw it into a machine translation and just to get it up there because they had a schedule, they got the script late or something like that, or somebody, maybe they couldn't get the job done, they got sidetracked, I don't know, maybe somebody went to the hospital or something, and so they had to translate it somehow, so they decided to just throw it into a machine translation. This could be something that it's just a one-off. Perfectly willing to accept that. But at the same time, with the fact that I know this stuff is going to be an eventuality, this could be a test bed. Test to see if this actually works, see how people respond to it, and go from there. It's a possibility. But at the same time, it doesn't make an excuse for this. I fully agree with a lot of other people. Why do you come to Crunchyroll? Because they're providing you with the product. And then you go to watch the product, and you find that they don't put any effort into the product itself. I clicked on this show. I expect that there's going to be subtitles at the bottom. And yes, to the argument that we always make, those subtitles will be correct and they will not have somebody putting some sort of agenda or some sort of other meaning to what it's saying. No, I changed my clothes for the patriarchy, or no, you're not one of the gamer gators. You come to Crunchyroll because you're paying for them to give you a product, and that product will have subtitles. That's an expectation, that it will have those subtitles, and they will be correct. With this case, you're coming to this show expecting proper subtitles, and you're getting a machine translation that is completely wrong. It's not acceptable. And I'm going to be watching for episode 2 like a hawk, and I'm going to be watching the other shows like a hawk, because I'm obviously going to watch all the shows. Some people were saying that Family Circumstances was having issues. I didn't really notice anything. Maybe I wasn't looking hard enough. But again, it's obviously not as bad as this, because this is unwatchable to an extent. But like I said, I was kind of hoping that if they're going to test this on something, test it on a show that I'm not liking, please. I don't know, S-Rank Daughter. I'm still giving S-Rank Daughter a little bit more time. It could be good, but I was super excited for Yuzuki Family, being a brother of 2 other brothers, and just the nostalgia there and the relatability. But I guess, again, something had to take the hit, unless, again, maybe they just lost the script or the translator and they had to throw something out there. But we'll see. I'm going to be on the lookout to see if possibly something pops up with the who's the translator, because typically a lot of these translators like to be up and mighty and tell everybody how they're doing a great job. And I'd be really excited to see if the translator for this one speaks up and says, either they maybe had to go to the hospital, or they didn't get the script in time, or they said, no, never mind, we're going to do it ourselves and try this machine learning to do the translation. But we'll see. To give people an idea of my thoughts on the idea of even using machine translation is I'm kind of pro machine translation when it gets good, and still having somebody there to actually check it, make sure that it does well. I mean, you can't let the machine AI translation process work itself. There's always going to be something that kind of needs some sort of interpretation, or somebody that's got to guide it a little bit. But the reason why I'm so positive on the idea of using machine translation is because, again, we can't seem to get enough translators that are willing to do the work without doing some sort of political agenda thrown into it as well. Yes, technically AI and machine translations can throw political agendas into it as well. I'm not completely oblivious to the idea that a lot of these AIs are being controlled in some way for political means, but it's less likely in a lot of scenarios. So if we can have a machine translation do it properly and it gets the interpretation correct, again, a lot of these AIs do some really incredible work with this stuff, I'm all for it. As much as I hate to say that, because yes, it means a lot of people are out of their jobs. I don't like the idea of translators being out of their jobs, but with so many translators burning the fandom, what do you expect us to feel? If we keep getting these bad translations and agendas thrown into them, what do you expect us to feel? We're going to want something else to do it. But there you go. Let me know down in the comments down below. Were you excited for Yuzuki Family just to go, what the hell is this? I feel bad for the show itself. I don't feel bad for anything else, but for the fact of the show itself, because I know this is going to probably hurt something that's probably already niche to begin with, and it deserves more love because I was really excited for it. But anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know what you think of this whole situation. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button so you get all my content, I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate what it does, and y'all take care.